Championship Wrestling from Florida. What do you consider to be the heyday of CWF?
1907, when the American Dream was created, when Dusty Rhodes turned into the American Dream. That was about 1974, maybe 74, 75, somewhere in there. When Dusty came to Dad and he had an idea, and Dad listened to him and said, "Yeah, that sounds good to me." I mean, we had a run from 74 to 80, 85, 84, 85 of sell out.
What made Florida's got a very definite identity in the history of wrestling. Some of it is the violence, quite honestly. Most of the covers of those wrestling magazines that I saw, even though I grew up in the Northeast, were coming out of Florida with people gigging like crazy and stuff. What was it about the identity of that territory that made it so popular?
It was real. In the newspaper, my father, when guys came to work for him, said, if you're out in a bar, if you're at a restaurant, if you're anywhere, and anybody smarts off to you, if you don't kick their ass, I will fire you. I'll hire the lawyers. If you ever get beat on the street, you're fired. So when you go out, you better win. He didn't hire any sissies.
And that wasn't just for a champion.
That was
on the roster.
anybody that worked for him. Anybody that worked for him. And he said, and if you fight somebody, you have to mark them. Because when they go tell their friend the next day they got in a fight with a wrestler, either you got to break their arm, their leg, their shoulder, black their eye, punch their face off, bite pieces out of their cheeks, whatever. When the next day, if they tell somebody they got in a fight with a wrestler, their friend has to go, holy shit, I ain't going to do that. You know? And if I was wrestling Kevin or if Dusty was wrestling somebody, if we were seen in the same restaurant, if we were seen in the same bar, if we were seen, oh, God forbid, the same car, fired.
Right.
Fired. Done. Back in the 60s, both of his best friends, Johnny Valentine and Red Bastien. Red lived out on the beach and Johnny was in Tampa. They were selling out every arena everywhere. Red had a little cookout on the beach on a Sunday afternoon. He invites John out. About 3 days later, Dad's someplace, and the guy comes by and says, I saw those guys that are fighting each other on TV. So they were at a barbecue out on the beach, and they're grilling on the thing and something like that. And Dad looked at the guy and he said, who? You know, the big blonde guy, whatever, Valentine? Yeah, Red Bastien? Where? And he knew where Red lived, and it was Red's house. He called both of them and he said, no need to come to the office. No need to come by. You're both fired. Don't go to the town. They were selling out every arena, everywhere. And they said, don't go to work tonight and don't come back. You're fired today.
Wow.
He put the credibility of real. When people saw the wrestlers in the ring, it was real. It was real. They were trying to beat each other. When I would go places and wrestle, I mean, more than one time, I'd just walk in the ring and stand there. And somebody would say, who is he? Because when I was the world's light heavyweight champion, I went a lot of places because I wrestled mostly in Florida. And I'd hear somebody else say, I'm not really sure who he is, but he's serious. He's here to do business. He just instilled in all of his athletes, all of his wrestlers, it's real. Make it real. Keep it real. If somebody said some smart ass to you on the street, comment about something, get in their face. You know, he said, don't ever let anybody talk down about your business, talk down about you, threaten you, or anything. So he made it real. That simple.
Your dad's being credited as being the best Finnish man in the business. What does it mean, and can we have an example or two?
Emotion. Psychology. Emotion. If everybody likes you and they don't like me, and you've got me beat and whatever, and then I do some evil, lousy thing and pin you, and you jump up, what have you done? How can you do this? And one skates, one this, just how things were done. You know, if we were threatening each other and you were the good guy, and I just punched you in the face and beat you, well, then you're a sissy. If the referee says, hey, you know, whatever, and you just turned your head, all it takes is a head turn. Any little thing that kept someone whole, it was simple. You know, it was just somebody had to cheat and somebody had to be good. You know, it's the same format for all the Clint Eastwood movies that there ever was. He took an ass whipping, they killed his wife, they killed his kids, they shot his horse, they shot him, but at the end, you knew he was going to come back and beat up all those guys, you know? So it was the philosophy as put the good guy in the absolute worst position you could put him in, and somehow he wins. And if he does get beat, then he is really looking good King Kong, and the bad guy does some evil, lurking, lousy thing. And then everybody in the ring goes, God, you need to have another match with him. He should have never won that match. You can beat him. You can do this. It's not jumping off the top rope. And I mean, I got to give the guys today credit. They're some of the best athletes in the world. But how many times have you ever been to the Ringling Brothers Circus? How many? Ever?
A couple.
Couple?
Yeah.
Okay. The best athletes, the best gymnasts, the best tumblers, the best everything is at the Ringling Brothers Barnum. Well, now it's the big shows there in Vegas with all the
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil. Oh my gosh! But I've seen Cirque du Soleil twice. We wanted people to come to the matches every night.
Yeah.
It's the emotion, it's the psychology that keeps them coming back every
drama.
night. So the guys today, great athletes. People don't care if one guy's going out with another guy's wife or this guy or whatever, and the writers because what happened was all the guys in the wrestling industry that knew how to book wrestling all were dying. There was no more teachers to teach psychology. There was no more psychology guys to tell the guys with the psychology what to do. So when all the brains started dying and the young brains weren't getting it, what you got to do? You got to go to lights and glamour and good-looking bodies and storylines that don't make sense in the wrestling world, and guys can do triple back flips and all this kind of shit where you go, I fall asleep watching the matches all the time. I've tried to watch them a few times, I fall asleep. Because it's the same, every match is just the same thing. And the interviews, I watched Snoop Dogg or something the other night, and they were glorifying smoking dope. I changed the station. Get Snoop Dogg, oh yeah, give me the box, baby, give me the box. And he takes one out, and then they do this corny ass break. And then they come back and the smoke's all over, yeah, man. And they're like, what are they thinking telling kids it's cool to smoke dope? You know?
I take it you're not sending your resume up there to be a road agent anytime soon.
Well, I would. And I would sit with those stupid-ass writers and tell them the exact same thing. That was stupid. It ain't going to draw a dime. Not a dime. And I hope they all watch this. And Vince knows me. He knows that's probably why I don't work there, because everybody's afraid of me.